Hello, I'm Dan from Fishbulb Films, and today we're going to be building up our C200 onto its rig with various accessories, and we're going to show you sort of how we do it. Obviously there's loads of different ways in which you can build up a rig depending on how you want to use it, but this is one that we use both for a shoulder rig, but also one that can easily slip onto a tripod for doing things like short films. So let's get started. So for this rig, obviously we're starting with the C200 as our base. As a base plate, we've got the small rig base plate, which has rod support so that we can attach all of our accessories. We've also got some small rig handles with ARRI rosettes. We've got a Teradek Ace 500, a Nucleus Nano wireless follow focus, various cables, a solid pod, which is a lovely little device by NKI that allows you to record RAW onto a solid state drive rather than the expensive CFast cards. And we've got a Lampart battery pinch. As well as this, if you've seen our previous video about swapping the mount on the C200, we're also going to be using a Cook Mini S4 lens just to finish it all off and make it look extra nice. So to begin with, we're going to begin with the small rig base plate. So I'm just going to tuck the screen away on the C200 and flip it over. And I'm just going to drop the base plate into position. So with this base plate, we found that no matter how hard you tighten the screw, if you're just using one, it does have a little bit of wriggle after a while of using it. So we've just gone and got a couple of screws from a couple of the base plates on our tripods, one sort of larger thread and one of the smaller threads, so that we can use both threads on the bottom of the C200. So I'm just going to screw both of those in. So that's the good start to the rig. Having this rod support is absolutely imperative if you're using any sort of accessories, just to ensure that you've got enough sort of space and real estate, I guess, on the camera to be able to add your accessories. Obviously the C200 body is really quite small. It's designed as a run and gun sort of documentary camera. So by building it up and having the rig and the rods, it allows you to add those extra accessories should you need them. So to continue, we've got these two rods and quite an old shoulder pad actually. This is one that we just sort of had in the office from various bits that we'd used in the past, and actually we all really quite like this. It's nice and padded, it's really solid, and the rods go straight through the centre of it, so it makes it really quite sturdy. On the back of it we've got our Lampart battery pinch. Again, we've got a couple of these in the office and they're just really handy, not just for cameras but for anything if you're out on location for power, because it's got so many options. So you've got your 12 volt, 5 volt, 15 volt, you've got another 12 on the other side, a USB, and then a 7.4 for DSLRs if you're using a DSLR, and it's also got a HDMI splitter in it as well, which is sort of a double-edged sword. It's quite a useful thing to have if you've got multiple outputs, but also at the same time, if you accidentally leave that HDMI switch on, your battery drains very quickly without you even realising. So just be warned with the Lampart pinches to ensure that that's off if you're not using the HDMI splitter built within the pinch. So I'm just going to put the rods straight through the back of the small rig. And it really is as simple as that, just to slide them in and tighten them up. Something I really like about the small rig components is all of the knobs on them sort of come out and you can twist them and move them out of the way. So if you're later on mounting accessories and actually one of these is in the way, you can just pull it out and move it out of the way without sort of adjusting the tension on the actual screw. So that's a really nice little feature from small rig. So first of all, I'll get the power for the camera sorted out. We've got a couple of these SWIP batteries. They're just standard V-lock batteries. They've got your power indicator on the side to see sort of how you're getting on with power. And they've also got a D-tap port in the top which is useful if you've sort of already used the one in the pinch and you need one straight off the battery as well. So I'll clip that onto the pinch. And to power the camera, we've got this cable from Wooden Camera. It's specific for the C200. It's just your standard D-tap or P-tap, depending on what you want to call it, going into the Canon's power supply. So, as I've just mentioned, I'm actually going to use the D-tap port on the battery itself rather than the pinch for this. I've got enough slack on the cable just to take it once around the shoulder pad, and then I'm going just straight into the back of the camera. These cables from Wooden Camera are extremely expensive. I think it's probably one of the most expensive cables we've ever purchased. But you can really tell the build quality on them is amazing. You know that after a few sort of shoots, it's not going to start fraying and failing on you. So definitely worth investing in a Wooden Camera one as opposed to a lot of the cheaper alternatives you can buy on places like eBay. So this is our Nucleus Nano follow focus. Really, really nifty bit of kit. Honestly, I'm so impressed with it. It's just been an absolute godsend for the sort of shoots that we've been doing, allowing someone to be able to pull focus remotely as opposed to being on the side of the camera is just such a luxury, and we absolutely love it. So definitely recommended one of these. So I'm just going to slot it onto the front of the rod. Doesn't need to be in any particular place at the moment, as long as it's there. I'll just tighten it up so it's not going anywhere. I'm also going to run power for that. Now, the Nucleus Nano itself didn't come with one of these. It's just a right angle USB to micro USB. So I'm just going to show you again, plug it into the side of the pinch, into the USB. And then I'm going to run it down the side. The Nano is, as its name suggests, very small, and it's quite fiddly to get the power supply in situ on it, but once you're in there, it stays pretty solid. So there we go, we've got power to our motor for the follow focus, and now it's time to add the handles. So we've got a couple of handles from Small Rig. Now they do come in a variety of styles, so you can just buy sort of this part, and it's basically allows you to mount it onto the rods and then put your handles straight on like that. We weren't too keen on that because it means that sort of ergonomically your hands are going to be like up here. We prefer them to be a little bit lower. It's a little bit more natural and takes the strain off the camera operator. So we've also bought these extenders, which you can buy as a set along with the handles, and just lock them in place. All of this stuff, the beauty of the rails is you can move stuff about quite easily, so sort of get it roughly in position and then you can adjust it later down the line if you need to. So I'm just going to screw one of these handles in. Probably about there. Now, we've decided to, instead of having the second handle in place, we're actually going to take it off and attach our C200 side grip onto it instead. It's really, really handy that the C200 grip actually has a ARRI rosette as well, so it's completely compatible with any sort of handle system you've got with the ARRI rosettes. So I'm just going to put that on there on its own. Quite fiddly this, I'm just going to put the camera on its side just to be able to get that on there. We've got a hand grip on the handles, which makes life a lot easier. You're not having to take your hands off and sort of balance it a bit and press record and things like that. You've also obviously got your focus guide and your joystick as well, straight to hand, so you don't need to take your hand off the handle at any point. So in order to make this grip work, we're going to need to use a grip relocator cable. This relocator cable is from Shape, and effectively what it seems to be is just a jack extender. I'm sure there's more to it than that, but that's pretty much what it looks like. So I'm just going to run it there, and then I'll show you. It's quite long. We use it on things like the gimbal and stuff, if we're using the gimbal, so it's got quite a lot of slack on it. So I'm just going to wrap it around a couple of times on the rod, and then it just plugs in where the grip comes out, and just make sure it's in there nice and snug. And there we go. So we've got a fully functioning grip relocator on the camera now. So before I continue, I'm just going to put it up on my shoulder and see sort of how it's feeling. So I can see straight away that actually this handle is very much not in the right position for me at all. So I'm going to adjust it from up here and just get it into the right location. That feels a bit better. And have a look. The other nice thing about the battery pinch is it works as quite a nice counterweight as well, just to balance the camera up. I have a sneaking suspicion that when we've got a Cook lens on it, it's probably not going to be as effective, but we'll see how we go. So obviously with the Canon grip on, it's all a little bit lopsided, and just to make it nice and straight whilst I'm working on it, I'm just going to readjust the bottom of that handle and just lock it in place so that the camera sits at a nicer angle for me. So I'm going to begin with the solid pod. As I mentioned at the start of the video, the solid pod is an incredible piece of kit. It's from NKI, and effectively what it does is it provides you with a dummy CFast card. It goes straight into the CFast recorder on the C200. It's specifically designed for the C200. This cable is sort of Kevlar reinforced, so you can shut the door on it with no issues whatsoever. And the solid pod simply sits on top of the camera with the cold shoe, or it comes with a range of other adapters and stuff, so you can mount it in loads of different ways. And inside the solid pod itself sits a solid state drive. In this one we've got a terabyte solid state drive, which allows us to record for, I think it's up to 2.5 hours in RAW, which is absolutely insane. And it obviously keeps costs down massively when it comes to CFast cards, because they are really quite expensive. So I'm simply just going to screw that onto the top of the cold shoe, and then I'll just show you where it goes. So as I mentioned, you simply open up the CFast door, the CFast card goes in, and you shut the door on it. And it looks a little bit haphazard, let's be honest. A bit strange having that cable coming out of the door, but it serves a purpose. It seems to work absolutely flawlessly. We've never had any issues with it. Next up, I'm going to connect our Teradek. And our Teradek is another absolutely invaluable tool, especially when working in conjunction with our Nucleus Nano follow focus. The Teradek will transmit a HDMI signal a fair amount of distance. I can't remember the exact specs on this particular unit, but it will go far enough for AC to be sort of within a decent range of the camera and be able to pull focus for you. So again, the Teradek comes with a variety of mounting options. This one's at the moment, it's just got a ball mount thread on it. And I think I'm going to connect it to the back of the C2. Just put it in there. It's pointing up, doesn't seem to make much of a difference as to whether it points up or across or anything like that, but just sort of as best practice, point it up for the best signal. And it's just a couple of cables to make this work. First of all is a power cable. This particular one didn't come with the Teradek. It does come with a variety of powering options. but this is just, again, another spare that we sort of had lying around the office, but it's sort of your standard 12 volt. In fact, it came with the lamp art pinch. So when you buy the lamp art pinch, it comes with a variety of different cables and a lot of these ones because they're just really handy. So I'll just plug straight in and then into our 12 volt output on the pinch. And then finally, just our HDMI, which I'll put into the side here. And then to the HDMI output on the camera. So there we go. I'm just going to power the camera up and see how we're doing. Just make sure that all the power's working. I'm just going to put it back on my shoulder just so I can readjust this handle. So everything seems to be working. The Teradek is on. The camera has spotted that the solid pod is connected, and the camera's powered up, so everything is absolutely fine. So the last thing we need to do is just put a lens on and we can go out shooting. So as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, we currently on the C200 have the wooden camera PL mount, which we attached in a previous video. So if you're interested in how to do that, please check that video out. And what it does is it allows us to attach and use various lenses that use the sort of more traditional PL mount. And here I've got a mini S4 from Cook Optics. It's the 50mm and it is a beast. It is absolutely massive. So it's going to be very exciting to see how this fares on this whole rig setup. So before I start, I'm just going to move the follow focus well out the way. So I'm just going to unscrew it from underneath and just drop it down there, just to make sure that we've got enough room. I am wondering as well whether this grip relocator cable might be in the way as well, but we'll see how we get on. So I'm just going to remove the body cap from the PL mount. Take the back cap off the 50mm lens. There we go. Clip the lens into place and tighten that PL mount up. And actually that grip relocator is close, but it's fine. It's not going to be in the way. It's not going to be in the way of any of the gears for the focus or the aperture on the lens. So the final thing to do is just bring that follow focus back in onto the focus ring and just ensure that the gears are nicely engaged. And there we go. There is a Cook 50mm lens on our C200. So one last time, I'm just going to pick it up. And this is very exciting. It does weigh quite a lot now. Just adjust my handle again. And there we go. We have our C200 fully built up with wireless video, wireless follow focus, raw recording, and a full power solution as well. If you've enjoyed this video, feel free to subscribe to Fishbowl Films YouTube channel for loads of behind the scenes on our shorts, lots of filmmaking tips, tutorials, that sort of thing. And I'd just like to say once again a massive thank you to Cook Optics for lending us this amazing array of lenses for us to trial. Make sure you check out our film Dead Air, which is due to be released in 2020, which we're going to be using this entire setup for, and it's going to be really exciting.